Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome to the Edge of Eternities Early Access event. Thank you very much to Wizards of the Coast for providing us with this promotional Early Access account. It's time to go. Where no set has gone before, Magic has gone to space with Edge of Eternities, which is absolutely wild. There's some crazy mechanics here that seem to be pretty focused on playing some super high mana value cards. There's a lot of ramp flying around with lander tokens that basically lets you get a Wayfarer's Bauble or Rampant Growth onto the board. One of these abilities that lets you grab any basic land from your deck and put it into play tapped for 2 mana. Very cool, and what you're going to be ramping into are potentially gigantic spacecraft. There are some huge spacecraft in the set with the new station mechanic, where you tap your creatures to put charge counters onto them equal to their power, and they'll have like station 10 or whatever, so you have to get 10 power worth of charge counters onto your spacecraft to then activate it as a gigantic like 10/10 flying trample or something crazy. So some really wild, really big, explosive Timmy sort of abilities and effects in this set, and I think it'll make for a pretty interesting draft and sealed environment here. Probably the biggest, rampiest, most late game oriented of the year, but we'll see how it all plays out. I'm very excited to see what these cards are going to do in practice. So let's just bust open our very first sealed pool of the event, get into the pre-release here, busting open our 6 packs and building a deck out of whatever we get here. All right, well, we got a 5-color rare if we get enough lander tokens. There aren't a lot of mana-fixing lands in this format. There's not a lot of dual lands and stuff because we just have the shock lands at rare, nothing really at common or uncommon, but there are lander tokens, as I said before, that lets you grab any basic land from your deck, and I think there's only like 1 or 2 ways to fix your mana outside of those lander tokens, so very sealed pool dependent. We probably can't play 5-color, but if we could get there, this is a very fun one. 5 mana to get a 2/2 robot for each multicolored permanent you control, and if you station it for 12, you get a 7/15 flyer that draws a card for all of your multicolored permanents. Very fun kind of build around there, and the new rule is that you can play this in Commander, which is pretty nice. You can play it as your Commander because it has a power toughness there at the bottom right. So much more of a cool commander card than a cool sealed card. It feels probably a little too narrow. Very similar to the Cosmogoyf here. There's a couple cards that allow you to exile things, like some removal spells that will exile cards from your opponent, and there's a new warp mechanic that lets you cast your creature for a cheaper mana cost early, but then you have to exile it during the end step and cast it from exile on a later turn. So there's a couple ways to get the Cosmogoyf working and getting some power and toughness, but anything that's going to make it actually that strong for the 2 mana is going to be very specific. I don't think that that's really going to be worth playing in sealed or draft. Same with the space-time anomaly. Well, okay, come to think of it, sure, there's not going to be a lot of life gain. There's not going to be a super good dedicated life gain deck or anything here, but because we're in sealed, we're playing 40-card decks. So if we just make it to turn 4 without getting hit, just casting this for 4, I think is pretty reasonable. You put your opponent on a bit of a clock there. At the time of turn 4, they'll have their 7-card opener, they'll have drawn 4 other cards, that's 11 cards down, you mill them another 20, that's 31 cards down. They're on a 9-turn clock to kill you, or you just win if the game goes long. So actually, Space-Time Anomaly is probably real when everybody only has a 40-card deck. The problem is it's still very bad when you draw it in the late game at the wrong time. If you're down to 5 life or something, 4 mana mill 5, probably not going to get you there. We've also got Menon. The right hand. 5 mana 3/4 flyer. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. You can cast artifacts from the top of your library, and all of your artifacts can tap for blue. That's going to be good in a deck that has a lot of artifacts in it, because then this is a card draw engine. So that's pretty fun. Sammy, Wildcat Captain. All of your spells have affinity for artifacts, and a 6 mana 4/4 double strike vigilance. That is quite the threat. And last but not least, a scarily efficient threat. 1 and a black for a 4/1 menace The ward is your opponent has to discard a card to target it, but the downside's pretty real in Draft and Sealed. Whenever it attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on one of your opponent's creatures. This seems like another card. It's going to be a bit better and constructed, because you can pull it out of the sideboard when you're against a control deck that doesn't really play creatures, and then there's just no downside whatsoever. But in Draft and Sealed, everyone is playing a chunk of creatures, so that downside could be pretty bad. Interesting rares here, some really interesting ones. There's no massively clear direction. There's a lot of disparate things these rares are doing, a lot of really specific things that are probably not that good, like Guideline Station and Cosmogoyf. But then some cards that do look quite powerful, like Sammy, Space-Time Anomaly, and Menon, potentially. Very cool. Very unique abilities out of our rares. So, showing off our colorless and multicolored, this is where I really get to show off that there's not a lot of fixing in the set outside of Lander tokens. We did open one Watery Grave, but that is obviously one of our rares, so we already knew about that, and that's the only dual land we opened. There's really just the rare dual lands, and then the bonus sheet in this set is also non-basic lands, but the bonus sheet only shows up like 1 out of every 8 packs, so on average you get maybe 1 bonus sheet non-basic in your sealed pools. Sadly, we didn't open one up here. There's some really good ones and some decent ones. All of the 2-color man lands, like the Raging Ravine or whatever, it taps for red or green, or it turns into like a 3/3 that puts a counter on itself every time it attacks. All of those are on the bonus sheet, so just like decent mana fixing. But then there's also some absolute bangers, some really good hits you could get for cards to sell in paper or cards to keep in Commander. Cards like Ancient Tomb and Strip Mine, like some of the strongest lands ever printed, are on this bonus sheet. So, a little bit of a shame we don't get to start off with that bonus sheet for our first run, but we got some other fun multicolored cards here. Looks like just the Tannock Memorial Ensign. 1 red and green for a 2/4 with a landfall. Whenever land enters, you get to deal 1 to each opponent, and if it's the second time you resolve this turn, you draw a card. So obviously, the idea is you're using that with your lander tokens, cracking them to get a second land onto the board and draw a card. For our colorless, there's no mana fixing there either. The mana fixing in this set, in this format, seems really reliant on specifically lander tokens and not much else. So we're almost definitely not playing our 5-color card. Can we play our Boros Mythic, maybe? Let's see. We're going to start by checking our white and go through all the colors, check what looks the best here. We've got a lot of white spells, so we certainly have the quantity that we need to play our Boros rare when it comes to white, at the very least. 1 solid removal spell with a Banishing Light. A couple really nice uncommons. This Starfield Shepherd showing off that warp ability. So early in the game, if I don't have anything else to do with my 2 mana on turn 2, I can guarantee I hit my 3rd land drop by warping this in, picking up a Plains. And then when I cast it later for 5 mana, I can grab a 1 mana value creature out of my deck and draw that. The Starport Security will run because we have 2 Starfield Shepherd. So we definitely want to run all of our 1 mana creatures. Some other decent stuff like this Double Striker. Play some double strike focused stuff. More warp going on, the Night Luminary as well. Yeah, white looks perfectly solid. Definitely interested in the potential Boros deck here in red and white. But there's also a chance to play Azorius, some blue-white stuff for our mill rare. Again, just for if we get into any games where we're not dealt damage by the time we cast that, mill 20 is huge. That's better than Traumatize. In Draft, Traumatize is mill half of somebody's library. Well, 20 is half of 40. So if you played a Traumatize in Draft, it would always mill less than 20 cards. Because obviously, as soon as people have opened their opening hand of 7 cards, their deck's only at 33 cards already. Blue seems decent here. We've got okay interaction with these Lost in Spaces. We've got a lot of cheap stuff on the curve. A lot of artifacts specifically. We do seem to have had some stuff that certainly cares about artifacts, like our Boros rare. So blue looks fine. Our blue rare cares about artifacts as well, so it is helpful. We got a chunk of artifacts in blue. How does our black look? We've got some good removal. We have 2 Dubious Delicacies and a Gravkill. Gravkill seems spectacular. Exiling at instant speed. Looks like a lot of decent value plays. A lot of high mana value stuff. This Peregrine Beckoner can get some early attacks in with its warp ability. Non-token creature their choice. That spacecraft doesn't seem bad, and we've got 2 of those. And then some good card draw there at 5. Yeah, black seems pretty solid if we just want to have a lot of interaction. That's what black is giving us. A lot of interaction, some good potential 2-for-1s. This makes our opponent sack a creature and then also potentially becomes a creature later. These just draw a card the second they hit the board. Black seems reasonable. And I accidentally cut a black card, so I can't just click the button. I gotta cut them all. All right. Red, what do we have? Ooh, aggressive-ish mana curve and a lot of spells. I'm liking the idea of Boros. Seems like a simple little aggressive color pair we can play to just get the ball rolling and get into some games of Edge of Eternities. Start learning the set, learning the sealed environment as quickly as possible. I don't mind that for simplicity's sake. There were more than enough solid cards in blue and black as well, and probably green. Oh yeah, there's a lot of green cards in general that I am sure if I spent a lot of time and picked what I think would be the absolute strongest deck, we might play something else, but this is my very first time playing these cards at all. This is my very first pre-release event and the very first recording of Edge of Eternities, so in the interest of getting this video out to you all as soon as possible, I think I'm happy to try out the Boros build, although if there was anything else I would want to play, this green looks really, really strong, so it's probably green. Glacier Godmaw, they basically just made Craterhoof Behemoth an uncommon, honestly. If you have the lander tokens to go with it, or just the mana to cast this and then play another land that turn, this is a 7/7 Vigilance Haste. 7/7 Vigilance Haste Trample, because you have the trample naturally, and it does give itself the +1/+1 as well, and it also gives the rest of your board +1/+1 Vigilance Haste. So ideally with this card, you wait until you can cast it and play another land that turn, but it's completely brutal when you do. And then we've got a lot of lander tokens to get up to it. We have the Seed Ship Agrarian, the Galactic Wayfarer, Same's Curiosity, so we can just ramp it to this huge, huge, huge finisher that's honestly probably like bomb rare level power level. So I do want to consider the green. What would I pair with the green? So if I'm not just doing Boros, I guess green-red, Tenok here. I did like the red, and this would give us a little bit more landers, I think. And then I could just splash in the white rare. I guess I don't have that many, like, artifacts here to be giving affinities, so it's just the 4/4 double strike vigilance. You know, I don't actually have, like, a lot of lander tokens or anything out of the red. So red... Oops, I accidentally cut a green card. Red is just exciting for removal spells and our Tenok. I don't think our white pairs well with our green. It's a lot of artifacts to go with Menon. I'm never going to say that right. It might actually be green-white. Green-black has a lot of good grind to it and some decent early removal. That could be, I think, a really good color pair as well. Green-white or green-black, let's just take a quick peek here. Again, I do want to try to get into that gameplay somewhat quickly. White only has 1 removal spell. I like the Double Shepherd a lot. I feel like removal is probably an area that we really want covered. Yeah, I'll go Golgari here. We'll go green-black. No Cosmogoyf, though. We're not exiling anywhere near enough stuff for that card. Yeah, not going to get combat tricky with the Dark Endurances, so that seems like a fine first cut. And what else do we have? Tap an untap permanent control Adamany. Oh, nice. And a ramp. 1-drop. I don't know about the might. It can buff your other creatures while you're just stationing things, but I don't have that many spacecraft. I'm not sure I'm even going to play them all. It's a very good combat trick, but still just a combat trick. Galactic Wayfarer is incredible when you have the beef like Godmaw to ramp into. 3 mana, 3/3 is just a good rate on curve, and you're just up a card thanks to that lander token. That land will absolutely be relevant. 3 mana, 4/2, Surveil 1, traded off Surveil another one. I don't mind that either. Shattered Wings probably not terrible in this set, but worse than our other non-creature spells. Four mana, 4/4 Death Touch at best. Not that exciting. When this becomes tapped, you can sack another creature or artifact to draw a card. Sack a lander token to draw a card, but as for expendable creatures, we don't have a lot of that. Peregrine Beckoner seems mostly like an aggro card, and we're certainly not that aggressive. Do like that. Germinating Worm could slow things down for us. Okay, when this enters, mill 3. Return a creature spacecraft from your grave to hand. So it's a 2-for-1. You kind of draw a card when you play it, and then eventually you could get a Flying Lifelinker if the board is stalled up, cluttered up. It gives us a way to tap cards like Agrarian that have a really good ability when they become tapped without having to attack with them. Also, that's another good way you can use the Saboteur. If you're stationing things with it, you get to get your value out of having a 4-power creature on board without putting counters on your opponent's board. So the Saboteur are actually pretty nice with these spacecraft. I mean, when in Rome, as they say, when in Edge of Eternities, especially during early access, let's try out the brand new spaceship mechanic, the stationing of these spacecrafts. We'll play all 3 of them and see how well it works. I do think we have some synergies for them. Creatures with abilities when they become tapped, and creatures that don't necessarily want to be attacking. So I think that seems fine. Also just beefy creatures, right? If this is like station 7+, you know, I station it with a Agrarian 1 turn, so I don't have to attack with that to get it to like, it only needs 4 more power. And then I just play some random summoning sick 5/5 and I can do the last station immediately at that point. So I think this should be a decent deck at stationing. So we're cutting 8 cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards set aside here. Let's go like 15 to 17 creatures. I'm currently on 21, so cut at least 4 of these creatures. I think I'm okay playing a little bit of a lower creature count for this deck. Play a little more controlling here, play more removal, so let's just cut a bunch of creatures in this combat trick. I'll keep the Shattered Wings in. This feels reasonable. There's 1 or 2 enchantment-based removal spells, like we saw in white. We have a Banishing Light here, and then obviously, you know, there's Spacecraft and some artifact creatures, so I think Shattered Wings could work. And we don't have a lot of flying or reach. Honestly, I think I like Germinating Worm more than Peregrine Beckoner for this deck. Don't really like Swarm Color, the heavy. Play the Germinating Worm for the last edition. Run it like this, some Golgari good stuff. Really just seeing a Glacier Godmon and being like, yeah, that's a nice little miniature crater hoof to ramp into, and our green is just so deep with tons of lander tokens with a couple Wayfarers and an Agrarian. Sammy's Curiosity as well. And then some good removal, 2-for-1 style stuff from black. Yeah, just Golgari value time. We'll see how well it plays out for us as we hop into the Edge of Eternities pre-release. All right, here we are on the play for game number 1. Let's get this rolling. Death Toucher out immediately. Awkwardly, our green removal spell doesn't work with Death Touch. It's one of very few green removal spells that has the spell deal damage equal to the power and not the creature itself. Most of these say, like, a creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another creature. But this is the awkward one where it specifically says the spell deals the damage. I hate these because the distinction can really get you. The distinction can come up. Like if I didn't read that and I just like tried to use the Death Toucher to kill something with close encounter, we just completely blanket. That would be really bad. Okay, so they have a grav ship when they get to 8 power on that. And there's just +1/+Os itself on landfall. For only 2 mana, that's pretty good. Okay, looks like we can just get aggressive here. I don't have 5 mana for Dirgecraft, and I don't need to hold up my removal. So let's jam. This creature enters, return a non-creature, non-land permanent mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this creature. So they get to show off the real power of warp with this station mechanic. You can warp out a really high power creature early and then station something like immediately. So that's quite strong. Luckily I did have the flyer to go ahead and deal with their flying lifelink spacecraft here. Okay. You are not a land, my friend. Not a land. This Reclaimer seems insane. So they got a Banishing Light off of it already, and then they're going to get whatever this is. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a +1/+1 counter on and gain a life. Yikes. And then when this dies, it destroys an all-land permanent. Vigilance and Menace. I want to close encounter the Grav Ship and hit for 4, but just not getting attacks, and next turn onward, we're just completely stalled out. So I think I just need to Surveil towards mana instead and keep the flying blocker up here so I don't have to close encounter yet. Now I have a 4 power creature on board for close encounters. Land 4, that gets us to Dirgecraft, which is just going to kill the Expansionist, sadly. Starfighter Pilot. Okay, they didn't hit the 5th mana then, most likely. Boy, do they still have plays, though. They get a 2/2 when it becomes tapped, Surveil 1, and a 1/1 Soldier. They could still station it to have surveilled there, but they hold the blocker up, which is fair. I think I'm blocking with my Death Toucher this early, so we'll tap that. Now we're just killing a 2/2. Still definitely putting this out. Don't think Thawbringer matters a lot as a blocker, and if I station with it now, the Dirgecraft will be ready to go next turn. Off of just the Thawbringer being tapped next turn. And that gives me a big enough creature to actually close encounter their 4/5 flyer. Oh wait, no, it's 4 power. Never mind, I'm still 1 off. I'm always 1 off all my 4 power creatures. Why do you do damage as a spell instead of letting my creature deal the damage? Death Touch is an incredibly relevant mechanic, and it's one of Green's main mechanics too. And you decided to make it not work with this removal spell? Thanks, Wizards. This is probably going to be one of my biggest pet peeve cards because it's so bad for me right now that it doesn't work. Okay, well, I drew Grav Kill, so it's much less bad for me now. Okay. So now I need to close encounter Servandum before he goes insane. And save Grav Kill for the flying blocker. Okay. I mean, gain 1? Maybe I let him chill and just hit them for 6. Grav Kill a flyer next turn. Just hit for 6 is a way to try to win. Oh, right, the life gain. Okay, so I have to hit them 3 times. But it is a somewhat quick path to victory. Oh, wait, I just forgot. They can just reclaim that now instead. That reclaimer is strong. They have to restation it. They just drew another flyer off the mill? They did. Yikes. I think they're dead. Grav Kill the 5/4 is 6 guaranteed in the sky. They block the 4/2 and die on the ground. Exactly 8 damage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Terrifying. Game 1. That was really close. I was at 11, but like before that turn started, they had 5 Power Flyer, 5/5 Vigilance Menace. They had the Flying Lifelinker about to get ready to get crewed. Like, if I didn't find lethal that turn, because of the lifelink that was going to be sitting on their board and how wide it was getting, they were very likely to turn the game around in their favor. So, close game 1, but we do start it off 1-0 heading into game 2. All right, here we are on the play for game 2 with the Nombo. Every time, the Death Toucher and the Close Encounter. Opponent takes 2 mulligans immediately. This hand honestly could be a mulligan, because it really only has a 1-drop and then a 4-drop. We don't want a 5 or 7 mana card in our opening hand. This removal spell does not work with our current creature. 1 damage isn't enough to kill anything. Alright, our opponent's over it. I guess a free victory there. On the plus side, even though we didn't get to play a game of Magic, that means we get to play another sealed or draft just a little bit sooner. Play as high of a variety of decks as possible. Alright, this hand would be awesome on the play. Get that 4/1 menace attacking, hopefully, before they play a creature. On the draw, it is certainly worse, but this is quite the blocker. 4 power for only 2 mana. Block and trade upwards pretty easily. It does trade downwards as well. Right, it only has 1 toughness. But, you know, I get to choose whether or not the block is good for me, so I just won't block if they send a 1/1 or a 2/2 in. Our opponent's got a bit of a slow start here. They just play a draw spell on turn 2. Turn 3. Oh, wow. They made a better Chocobo Racetrack? That's probably pretty good, because now it's a Chocobo Racetrack that also has a 2-mana 2/2 attached. So you get your 2-mana 2/2, and then you also start landfalling all the other 2/2s later. That is sketchy. Alright, have a 3/3. I have multiple death-touching 1/1s here. That is by far the most likely way we're killing that. So the +1/+1 counter is kind of irrelevant. The fourth counter will matter. The fourth power and toughness, because I'm going to play a 4/4 soon. But the difference between a 2/2 and a 3/3 this game is very low right now. Swarm Color. So now the attack is almost definitely not worth it. I just trade into one of these two and the other one is permanently buffed. So we'll just play the Crasher and pass, and then set up to trade the turn after this so that I get my card draw off the Titan. Intrepid Tenderfoot, and a Hilderblade. So this thing can put +1/+1 counters on itself. This thing, whenever you're on 7 of an online permanent left the battlefield, or a spell was warped, you attach it for free. Okay, so they can like attack and sack a creature, draw a card, and then also equip the blade for free. It's pretty cool. Okay. I'm gonna send in the Crasher, I think. Kill the flyer or kill a combat trick here. Kill the flyer it is, and now we draw a card and pass. Another flyer. This is a death trigger, so our exile removal does work. If they triple block our Void Forge Tyrant, that's a bummer. I do really want to keep drawing cards here. So I want somebody to die, and I think if I just attack with Hole Carver, it's probably not going to die. I think I'm only killing something if I grab kill. So either grab kill and don't attack, or I attack hoping they block with 2 creatures but not 3. So I don't have to draw the card here. I could Saboteur as well. Yeah, I mean I hit for 5. Do this way, and then double spell. Alright, they don't want that Titan triggering. Well, let's just get them real low then. I will double spell. I will absolutely take a close encounter. Much cheaper way to trigger Void and get somebody out of the way. Play the Monoist and the close encounter in the same turn. Alright, Chocobo Racetrack has hit the battlefield. Here comes another Chocobo. So I will draw a card in the end step no matter what. I feel like I'm just in full pressure mode at this point. They're down to 6. Clear them down to just a 2/2. We have 3 threats down plus draw a card. Find our Fell Grav Ship. It's actually really good with Void Forge Tyrant, because this has been a creature we've consistently not wanted to attack with, so that feels pretty good at stationing. Alright, looks like we win regardless. That is 3-0 now, heading into game number 4. Mono green opening hand. Still gonna keep it though, because the Wayfarer pulls out the black mana for us, and our only black spell is a removal spell we can play later and have it still be very good. Dock Worker Drone. Wow, so it's like a 2-mana 2/2 on curve, but also it moves a +1/+1 counter around when it dies. If you put any extra +1/+1 counters on it with anything else, you get to move all of the counters over. Oh my god, did they open a Wombo Combo Super Synergy deck? In sealed? Green-white +1/+1 counters? I think I have to pass here, and if they try to put +1/+1 counters on the drone, I can Delicacy it. And if they play anything else that likes to put counters on itself, then I can just Shattered Wings. Oh, this is a sorcery? Okay, wow. Good to learn that during early access. That card is bad. Sorcery Speed Broken Wings? Oh, I should have killed that before the Crasher hit the board. Oh my god. I was so perplexed by the Shatter Wings being a sorcery that I timed things super wrong there. Yeah, that's obviously quite bad. Pretty embarrassing. They did not need to be able to draw a card there. With a Dirgecraft coming up, I feel like Gravkill is not the craziest choice here. I really want to cut this card. That's like really, really bad. Because instant speed is so relevant on naturalized style abilities like that, so that I have the options of playing like Delicacy or Gravkill or whatever instead. Whenever land control enters, double power of target creature you control till end of turn. You know the worst part about this? The worst part about this is you can't respond. I can't kill this after it resolves, but before they play a land. Playing a land doesn't use the stack, they just play it. So I'm gonna have to Gravkill the Crasher instead of this, because I can't just take 10. See, as soon as it hits the board, I'm in full control mode, ready to Gravkill it, but I don't have priority until they already play a land. It's brutal. So if I miss the land to Dirgecraft away that Harmonizer, that thing is going to run away with the game. And we did miss the land. Man, this has been a devastating game. One really big misplay. And then just noticing one of our cards is infinitely worse than I thought it was. And then just the way that Magic Rules works, hosing me with the Might Form Harmonizer as well. Draw another card and attack with a 10/10 here. Huge yikes. Oh, it doesn't double its toughness at least. Lightly something. I can play Dirgecraft, kill Halia, and then die to removal. Shattered Wings of Terra Symbiosis, die to the current board. I don't see any outs here. They plan to attack with her as a 4/4. Draw a card off of this and draw a card off of that. I think I still have to hold Agrarian up here to force them to have removal. All right, go to 3 and they draw 2 cards. Just magical Christmas land synergy over there. Wayfarer. And Wayfarer's not enough on our board. Alright, that was a terrible game of Magic. We misplayed bad. Our cards are really bad against that deck. The Shatter thing being a sorcery. Magic rulings making it so I can't kill the landfall card before they get a landfall trigger and force me to kill the other creature. That was awful. Goodbye, Shattered Wings. You are a garbage card. Let's put somebody else in here. I don't have much to replace it. I guess it's better to just play a random creature at that point. Again, sorcery versus instant just being astronomical. This torpedo thing's also probably kind of bad, but I've got some landers ramping up. We'll try out the 6 mana removal. We also have a few spacecraft. If we ever attack with one of them, then it's 3 mana removal. We'll try it out. Alright, here we are on the play for game number 5. 3-1 right now. Pretty rough misplay last game, plus bad magic cards. Our sorcery there. It was like the matchup where you would think it would be good, and it was still very bad at sorcery speed. Just gonna get the ramp here. Curiosity lets us ramp up on turn 2 if we cast it on turn 1. Rather do that. Then wait till turn 3, because now if I draw a relevant 3 mana play, I can play it, and I can. Galactic Wayfarer is the draw. I can play Wayfarer and Hole Carver in the same turn next turn. That'll be pretty good. Swamp to double spell. Don't really care about killing the Death Toucher. Although if I hit mana 5 for Dirgecraft next turn and they haven't played another creature, which I guess I'm guaranteed to hit it, I'm still going to play this. Kill the Stinger then. If they do play another creature, I'm probably still playing Dirgecraft, but if it's like a bomb rare or something, maybe we'll have to Grav Kill. They got Ancient Tomb in Draft! Oh, baby. Well, that's wild. Okay, we have Germinating Worm mana, or I can Grav Kill this. If a permanent entering causes a triggered ability, triggers twice. Interesting. So it's Panharmonicon on a 3/4 body. That's pretty threatening, I would say. Pretend I have a combat trick here, and then if they block the Wayfarer, I still just Grav Kill, but if they block Wayfarer with the Stinger, I let it happen, and then I can Dirgecraft the Vocalist. Let's go. Maybe. Maybe not. Yeah, let's go. Dirgecraft actually gets to attack next turn off the warp. Or just the hard cast even. We'll have 6 power out. I don't think it's worth warping this, waiting to have it on board for another turn just for an extra 2 life over the course of this game. Harmonious Grove Strider, that's large and warty. No reach though. Well, we drew a better 5-power creature. Go, Dirgecraft, go. I will say, the spacecraft have already played better than I thought they would. Like, the numbers are so high, they just looked so mid. It was like, I mean, I guess they're an okay spell, but the creature part just doesn't matter. But the set's full of beef. So, like, you just kind of get around summoning sickness by playing your creature and then immediately having your station active. Ooh, they have to Shatter Wings that. That feels good for me. See, Siege Ship Impact. That's a good naturalize. Instant speed. You blow up a small card, you get a lander. That's what I wish I had. Or 2. Just have a hole carver back here. Cryogen Relic, that card is very nice. Draws a card when you play it, then you can sack it and keep something stunned and draw another card. So it's a draw 2 and a stun. There's no tap. Just the stun counter. Mechanozoa, tap and stun somebody. Death Toucher. Mechanozoa is pretty gnarly here, because they'll get to recast it and keep it on the board. It's the way that Warp works, is they'll cast it from exile, and that's when it'll stick around, but they get the enter effect twice. They're at 10, we put them to 5. The Ancient Tomb's getting really painful for them. I take 7 next turn. Probably. I'm gonna play the Monoist. If they stun this, they don't get to stun the Death Toucher this turn. Can finally use my Lander token as well. And we save the Grav kill to try to clear out a blocker and get lethal. Right, they're at 5, so they're dead in one swing. Like, if they play Mechanozoa, stun the Monoist, and attack, I just go removal spell kill. They don't have enough blue mana to use the Relic and the Mechanozoa. They would need triple blue. So they have to choose one or the other. It's going to be the Mechanozoa. It's going to tap the Monoist. They just have an Ancient Tomb, so they are dead to Grav kill. So that's the plan. And here's the Grav kill. Hope 5. If they're not dead, I've got the Death Toucher up. Let's go. That is 4 and 1 heading into game number 6. Alright, on the play for game 6. A good curve here. Full Carver and Terra Botanist to slow them down with a Death Toucher and some life gain. And then just start stationing the heck out of some spacecraft. A very space-looking hand here. Blue-red. Blue-red is an artifacts archetype in this set. In theory. That's what the arena event says. That's going to get a +1/+1 counter if they cast 2 spells in a turn. Very cool. If I mill 3 and don't hit a creature spacecraft, then the grav ship's pretty bad here. I don't think close encountering a 2-1 is particularly good right now, though, so... Fingers crossed. Oh my god, we got Craterhoof Behemoth himself, the Glacier Godmaw. Left Stalker Ardent. Whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, it deals 1 to each opponent. I cannot kill that. Close Encounter is the spell dealing damage, not the creature. So I can't Death Touch that. So I can't get in here. I mean, I could attack with Hole Carver, I guess. It's gonna need 7 more power. I feel like if I attack with Hole Carver, they just take 1 damage. I don't really think there's a purpose for that. And then just hold only the Death Toucher up. That keeps the Ardent off of us. I'm cool to take the operative damage. So if I try to hold up Botanist, they could double spell and potentially just get it anyway. I think I'm going to station with Terror Botanist here. I could Close Encounter, because then Dirgecraft kills a better creature. We kill their weakest creature with Close Encounter. But alternatively, we kill the weakest creature with Dirgecraft and then save Close Encounter for something better. But I'm not going to have high enough power to kill something better till like turn 7+. And it is good to be mana efficient here and actually kill something. So let's kill the operative. Do think I'm just going to keep this 2 damage off of me instead of stationing, though. With the Hole Carver. We'll leave 1 death-touching blocker up. Pinnacle Emissary. That looks very strong. 3/3. Warps for 1 blue or red, and whenever you cast an artifact, you get a 1/1 flyer that can only block flyers. That's still really good. 1/1 flyer for every artifact they cast. Alright, terrifying blue-red artifact stack over there. And then 1 mana removal for the Death Toucher. That was a very good turn for our opponent. The Ardent is really strong with that too. So it doesn't feel bad we get the Ardent kill with the Dirgecraft. 7 away from this. I'm only 5 away from this one. Just work on the grav ship. I think flying lifelink is a big deal. Ooh, beautiful. This is going to be a crazy turn. Station chains. We heard you liked stationing. So we put some station in your station so you can spacecraft your spacecraft. Could have been better to hit for 4. Like, we could have done this either way. We could have hit them for 4, or we could hit for 3, gain 3. Hit for 3, gain 3 is a 6 life swing. Hit for 4 is a 4 life swing, but hitting for 4 does kill them faster, if that's the only goal. So it's close. Okay. I think I have to cast the Godmaw, rather than waiting to have an 8th land in hand for the play plus give haste. I think we just go for it against blue-red. Most of the removal is bounce and burn. They're down to 3, so even if they do have the removal for Godmaw, they're going to be dying to everybody else at that point. 3 mana, 2/3 gives things haste. +1/+1 vigilance to the board. I can do it twice, and the trample from Godmaw is brutal. This should almost definitely be lethal. If it's not, they still have to chump with a bunch of stuff and spend some kind of interaction on the Godmaw. Okay, that's dead. We say okay. And that's lethal. That is 5-1. Very positive record to start us off in Edge of Eternities. Alright, game 7. We're 5-1 right now. Whatever happens, this has been a great first sealed event. But hopefully we can keep it up. This deck has been very good. We've been getting to play with all the new mechanics. Our stationing spacecraft, we've got 3 of those. We've got a lot of lander tokens in this deck for the ramp. And we also have some cards that care about Void, the big 5/4 that we've been drawing cards off of in a lot of these games. I guess we're not really doing any warping here. We've got like 1 or 2 warp cards, and they're just not that good, the ones that we have in green and black. This card seems busted in half. 2 mana, 2/2, plus a free Wayfarer's Wayfarer's Bauble. Plus, if they get to 8 mana, they just win. Draw 2 and get a 2/2 every single turn. Yeah, this engineer is fantastic. Alright. Perfect curve out from our opponent mana-wise. This is an insane start. Green, blue, untapped land to play the green-blue 2-drop, and then plains for the white 3-drop. Luckily, the white 3-drop's not that good. They just spent 3 mana for a single +1/+1 counter there, really. We get a swamp here. Let's surveil first, because obviously I could miss on the grav ship pretty bad. Gene Pollinator. I mean, I like the card, but I don't need the mana right now. So we'll just mill that. That's guaranteed at least 1 card per grav ship. But hopefully we'll mill some other cards so we have better options. Alright, combat trick me. You got it. That's a bunch of mana soaked up and not putting another creature out yet. Just using 1 lander token. Do you want to double combat trick me? It would be kind of sad, but then at least I draw a Titan card here. If they... Oh my god, they have double trick? They have double trick? Okay. Well, draw my card. That is exactly what I need to draw. Now I can kill the engineer before they have 6 mana for the other card. And before they have 8 mana to activate it, unless they top deck the castable creature here. I'm hoping they just spend the turn on lander tokens. Because then we Dirgecraft and the Titan draws us another card and we just win from there. But if they play another creature where this Dirgecraft can't kill the engineer, that's where they get to just win off of a bunch of engineer value. Alright, let's see. Radiant Strike, blow up the Titan. Fair. Okay. So they have a single 4/5 next turn. And we have a grav ship to pick somebody up. And a Dirgecraft to station, I think. Despite being far behind on life total, we're a tiny bit ahead in terms of odds of winning here. Especially because we're on the draw there. We get the first draw step of the top deck war. So let's see what grav ship finds. Grab a Monoist so I can play a creature this turn. Or Thawbringer to play a creature this turn, and it has 4 power towards stationing. Honestly, I think I actually need the station power enough to take this over the Voidforge Titan. Even though the Titan could be a Card Dungeon, this is a really mana-efficient way to play to the board here and put immediate pressure on our opponent, giving them less time to top deck and out. Because now we're bashing for 4 next turn. Because I can torpedo the Enhancer. I've actually got exactly the mana to play the Worm, crew the Grav Ship, attack with the Grav Ship, and then because I've attacked with the Grav Ship, I can crack the Torpedo for only 3. And this is multiple attackers. This is going to be beautiful. I'm going to be completely honest, I was not the biggest fan of the way these mechanics all looked out, or all looked during spoiler season, but the way they've played out has been pretty cool. Very interesting. These spacecraft have been so much more relevant than I thought they would be. Alright, they top-decked a gigantic whale, and that kind of stops us here. But that's part of where spacecraft is nice. If I'm going to be completely roadblocked, then at least I get to fully station this turn. Top decking straight gas over there. They surveilled 1 to the top as well. That was a bold attack. Their top card's probably very good with that attack. Yeah, I mean, the top card has to be incredible for them to win this, but apparently it is, because, again, they knew what was coming and they chose to attack. Flying lifelink, double their tokens. Now they have a 5-power lifelinking blocker. I'm just flooding. They're at essentially 10 life. They can block this, and take 8. Kill 2 of my creatures without losing one of their own. Yeah, that's just a gigantic lifelinker that actually does it. They're completely stable here. Eat both of these without losing a creature and stay at 2 life. Wow. At least if they flood out, if they finally hit a land, they don't get to attack next turn, so our out is that they draw land and then we draw something relevant at this point. That's the land. So they pass. It's not that relevant. Relevant would have been like a removal spell to kill them now. So I put them to 2, they have 2 creatures on board, then I play a creature and have 3 out. I mean, if I attack all, I'm trying to get 2 turn lethal by putting them to 2 and then having 3 attackers ready. I still have 2 turn lethal if I just play the Agrarian. Because I'm only going to win if they miss on their next draw step as well. And if that's the case, I win whether I attack or not. If I attack and then they don't miss, I'm going to lose a lot harder than if I choose not to attack and then they do. They do hit, they do draw something relevant. So I think we have to just not attack there. Because if they miss again and hit another land, they're dead still. Which would have been the only point in attacking. Seems to be an instant, but they could be playing in full control mode. At least a backup creature here. Okay, let's go for it. Let's see what their instant is. If it's a removal spell, we still put them to like 2 here. And kill them next turn if they miss. But it could be something absurd. Return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If it's attacking, create a 1/1 blocker. It can only block flyers, but that's so relevant here. Because now they get to block the Dirgecraft and block and kill 2 other creatures. Jesus, yeah, that's like 2 removal spells, basically. Oh, that's such a yikes. Oh, they get 2 of them from that? Oh, because they're mythic rare doubles tokens. Oh my god. What a nuts draw. Just gonna go for the crackback lethal. That's exact C's. 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's exact lethal on the crackback because the double token. Wow. Alright. Great draws are great. I mean, what can you do? 5 and 2 it is, heading into game number 8. Alright, here we are for game number 8. We're 5 and 2 right now. We have a solid opening hand. It desperately needs to draw 1 land, but we are on the draw. And should we hit that land, we have multiple land or token producers to fix our way towards our black mana. We did immediately top deck the swamp, so we are guaranteed at least 3 mana, which then lets us crack a land or get to the 4th, which then gives us another land or get to the 5th. Reasonable draws here. It's the command bridge on... Oh, it's mana of any color. It's one of the ones you have to tap another permanent to play it. Okay. Here's our Wayfarer. I think we drew every single spacecraft we have this game, which is funny. But, I mean, they play well in multiples. They do station each other pretty well. Playing against a Rakdos. Red and black over there. There's a swarm color. Large body on that card. Get the Agrarian down and pass. Memorial Team Leader. Their whole board gets +1/+0 during their turn. Nice aggressive card. Play a Dirgecraft. Hit a little less hard right now, because I don't want to trade Agrarian into the 4/3 anyway, so we'll just get the full station out of the way. Slag Drill Scrapper. Sack another artifact or land to draw a card. Cool. Agrarian's getting juicy. It's threatening to attack as an 8/8 they don't have any good blocks for. Let's just send all and see what happens here. Worst case scenario, and the Agrarian dies here, we still got 2 lander tokens out of it before we sent it. This is very good for us on board. Chump chump it is. Take those and let's just ramp into our Godmaw, shall we? Litha breaking. Ooh, nice. Okay, 2 damage to each creature to finish the Wayfarer and the Agrarian off. I mean, a double lander crack should save Agrarian. In theory. Oh, wait, they get a lander first and then... Okay, so they can still sack the lander to kill everybody. So I actually have to activate all these right now. So even if they sack the lander, Agrarian lives. Oh, wait, no, I've misread this card like 3 times in a row. Okay, so they can sack a lander for 2 to everybody. And if they don't sack it, they don't do anything to anybody. Okay, so it's not like 2 to everybody, and then if you sack, then it's 3. I think I'm getting that mixed up with the other red card. There's like a common red one that's like 2 damage normally, 3 damage if a void happened. The card is very different, so I don't know why I'm getting mixed up, but I certainly am. Okay. So I could play the Godmaw, but I have no landfall trigger this turn, sadly. I could also just grav ship back the Agrarian. Get a lander, which guarantees a landfall trigger for next turn. And get our torpedo 1-man investment out. Insatiable Skittermaw. Little menacer that keeps getting counters as void happens. A little late for him. Deal 6, get a lander. Solid removal. Alright, there's the concession from our opponent. Our big beefy stuff and our spacecraft are just too much there. And we are now 6-2, heading into the final boss. This will be the final battle of this pre-release event. Win or lose, this will be the final game of Magic for today. Alright, if I don't draw a swamp, we don't even get to play a game for our last game of Magic. So I will take a mulligan here to make sure we can at least do something. But being down a card, of course, pretty bad, does lower our chances a good chunk. This is quite a solid-looking 6-card hand, though. Can keep the curve really low. Ditch the worm. Play the pollinator first. Yeah, I think I can get all these things cast reasonably. This seems really nice. Like, just tapping a creature's already okay. But that thing can tap your lander tokens when you don't have the mana to, like, crack them right now anyway. Blue-black from our opponent. There's a lot of really good card draw in blue and really good removal in black in this set. So I think it could play a pretty gnarly control deck. Turn 3 Ice Cave Crasher on the play. Should be a decent amount of pressure on our opponent. That essentially 5-4 trample to get swinging in with. There's a Nova Hellkite getting hasted in there on full Grixis here. Does 1 damage to anybody. Wow, that was really good. Yeah, that's huge as a 2-for-1 here. Because it gets to kill one of our creatures and deal 4, and then come back, maybe kill something else, and just permanently be a 4 or 5 at that point. And that's quite good. If I grav ship the Wool Carver back, I just don't care. But I don't think the lander's super relevant. Yeah, I think I'm gonna grav ship and just hope to mill something better here. It's obviously, ooh, Dirgecraft. Wayfarer, both quite good. Pick Dirgecraft. The issue I was going to say with picking up the Death Toucher there, obvious issue or whatever is that then they have another target to kill with the next Hellkite enter effect that we just really don't want to happen. Oh, a 5-color deck? Green, red, blue, and black. Very interesting to see how good multicolored ends up being in this format. There are a lot of lander tokens if you're in the right colors, but again, there's no like common dual lands or anything, so it does seem like it might be a little bit of a challenge, but with the lander tokens, I think you could probably get there. So it could end up actually being very viable. Dubious Delicacy to kill the engineer, or I could just Dirge Craft it. It's gonna be a while before this thing is stationed anyway. I think I'll Delicacy and save the Dirge Craft for something with more than 2 toughness. I could hit for 1 or I could ramp here. It feels better to ramp. This is an instant. I can wait till their turn and then crack the lander. There's a lot of interesting decisions with stationing, because like that's another thing I could have done. I could station 1 of the 8. I could have done that last turn as well instead of poking for the extra 1 damage with the Pollinator. I could even see a world where it was right to just, instead of hitting for 5, you know, station the grav ship for 5. Probably not, but if there's like a lot of good removal and ways to defend yourself where we think we're unlikely to like really pressure them into the kill or anything anytime soon, then it is one of those like, might as well set up for the long game that way, getting as much incremental value as possible. There's their own Gene Pollinator. Alright, well, unfortunate. It's going to be pretty bad for Dirge Craft here, because now it's going to kill something relatively irrelevant. But even if I wait to play it until a later turn, they still just get to sack their smallest creature, so I think I am just playing it right now. Prevent the mana fixing from casting the Hellkite next turn. Three power creature. Station 1, Station 4 next turn. Don't think this 1 damage matters much right now. Just gonna station. Fungal Colossus, that's a huge one. 2 mana, 5/5. Your old domain friend from Dominar United. Back again with a fresh coat of paint. Agrarian's a very good draw. Crack this lander. I'm under some pressure here. Especially when they crack a lander for a second red for that Hellkite. Or just top deck it in the 4-color deck. Come on. That was a very good draw for our opponent. They have another ping, too. Wow. 13 damage here. This is all kinds of bad. I am in the chump zone at this point. So Agrarian has the power to Station the grav ship now. Get our life linker. Godmaw is our play to try to win this game. Haste out a Godmaw if we hit a land. Kill them with our whole board. You can go to 14. They have 12 power on their board. I think I'm not stationing. I think I'm holding this, so they need a removal spell and a combat trick to kill us. Because if I top deck the land for Godmaw, that's my out. Is that I can play Godmaw and then a land afterward to give it haste. Right, like I know I'm going to have the 7 mana off cracking a lander, so I can at least play it. I don't know the set well enough to know how many combat tricks there are that kill me. Like maybe I'm supposed to station here. This way, if I don't hit the land, I can still go Godmon that finishes off the Dirgecraft station. Hit for 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's lethal. But like if I do this and then they just like +3/+3 me. Just dead. They only need to do 2 extra damage though. They seem to be somewhat heavy into red. There's a 1 red mana deal 2 that I know of at the very least. And I feel like they're so likely to have removal anyway. I'm just going to go all in here. This could be wrong, but it's pre-release. We'll just lose our last game the same way we lost our first game, which is just, it's pre-release. Card on familiarity is going to get you. They might have their own Godmaw, in which case I don't think it matters what I do. We're just dead. Dead, dead, dead. If the combat trick is not massive enough, I can eat the delicacy instead of getting a land. That's obviously a very desperate position, because then I know I'm not going to Godmaw and play a land next turn, but if it's the difference between dying and not dying... yeah, that does it. 5-color deck running a double black-white card. Lander tokens. Absolutely insane. Gain 3. Hit for 7 in the sky. The fact that this has a lifelink is devastating. If this didn't have lifelink, we'd have lethal on the counterattack from the Godmaw stationing the Dirgecraft. But we don't, so I have to find out how I don't die here. Which I guess is just hold up every single blocker and pass. Gain 3, be at 5. I could let the 4/3 through. God, they're all going to have Death Touch on attacks. Yikes. There's so many things we could do here. This is a difficult decisions. I think I just hold up all my blockers so I'm not dead on board, and then go for a Godmaw counterattack lethal. By stationing with Godmaw, my most important creature is not going to die to Death Touch on blocks. My most likely creature to crack back for lethal, because any other creatures I draw also get the Vigilance and Haste. It's got Trample. I think this is the best I've got. Alright, draw 2, discard a card, digging for removal. We are dead to a removal spell on the Grav ship. They are playing all 5 of their colors, so they could be playing every single removal spell in their sealed pool. So I'm not liking our odds right now. That Vondum was devastating. Alright, play a land. They have one final card in their hand. It is a 2/1 that makes a lander token when it dies. So they are definitely just running every lander token producer in the sealed pool to get the 5 colors. It's looking viable. They have cast multiple difficult mana values. Double red, double black-white. Pretty crazy. Can kill that. Can trade there. Trade there. Chump gain some life. Everybody has Death Touch, so the only thing that matters in terms of how I'm blocking is what creatures am I killing here. And I can't kill this Hellkite because I can't afford a double block. I could kill the Hellkite, I guess, if I let the Wayfarer through and have this one just chump the Lifelinker. Or this just chump the 6/5. That would just be miserably bad, I think. Yeah, I mean, no matter what, I lose all 4 of these creatures because of the Death Touch, even if I go for a double block to kill specifically the Flyer. Yeah, no, I think I have to block like this and just draw really well. Because they're at 14. Sir Vondum. This card went so ham this game. Station 8. So we're not dead. Just take 4 in the sky. Germinating Worm, genuinely a great draw. 13 damage, we put them to 1 and they're playing off the top. Unless they want to chump the 6/6, which is fair. They get a lander token for it. Thin out the deck of another land, make it more likely to draw a spell, but it would have to be a real good spell to win now. Because if they just draw a creature that's not big enough to single-handedly station the scan ship, they're dead. So we're really hoping they just draw in like another good creature. Like another Servondum or something. We could beat another Servondum. Could definitely beat a Navigator. I think we got there. Guess they get to mill 1 if they have a relevant flashbacker. They could do that. Yeah, they're very dead to the double lander token with the Godmaw. I think this is the only game we actually got to use our Craterhoof Behemoth-y Godmaw thing here. But wow, did it do the thing. Go, board, go. Haste out a Terrabotanist now, too. That is mega lethal for a 7-win full trophy run on our very first sealed event of Edge of Eternities, our little pre-release here. Sweet, sweet stuff. Sweet, sweet, sweet stuff. We could have played just like Boros Good Stuff. I am happy that I spent a little bit more time than I planned on in the deck building, because I think this deck looks like it's playing a lot more to some of the strengths of the mechanics in this format. Those lander tokens ramping into some beef has been great, and the 2-for-1 spacecraft have been very interesting. The mid-rangey spacecrafts that like enter and draw you a card out of your grave, or enter and then make your opponent sack a creature, and then later they do become relevant flying bodies. If you're in a board state where you can't attack in well, then you get to just station some charge counters onto these. If you're in the late game and you resolve some big 5/5, well, it's got summoning sickness anyway, so you can go ahead and finish off your stationing on one of these. If you have a lot of cheap warpers, you could warp a high power creature out early to get a bunch of charge counters onto your station. So spacecraft have been the biggest overperformers here, I think. A lot better than they looked. These were some really solid spacecraft in this deck. I do think, however, that the only spacecraft that are going to be particularly good are the ones with great enter effects, like these have. I still, as good as these were, don't think I'm going to be particularly impressed by any of just like the raw stats style spacecraft, like any of them that are just like don't do much when they enter and then like, you know, station 10 and now you have like a 10/10 flying trample. Still feels like maybe not incredible, but the ones that do something when they enter, these have been really, really good. Agrarian was a pretty big overperformer. The ability to sit there and station with it and just keep getting lander tokens every turn was awesome. So if you have cards like Agrarian that want to become tapped every turn, I think Station go up in value as well, or Spacecraft go up in value as well. Voidforge Tyrant was great. That works with lander tokens, it works with removal spells, it works with trading off during combat. There were a lot of good ways to trigger the Voidforge Titan and have that just be a consistent card draw engine. Really great stuff from everything in this deck. Probably the biggest underperformer was Close Encounter, because we do have 2 1-mana Death Touchers, and so the fact that this doesn't work with Death Touch was pretty brutal. That was pretty unfortunate. It definitely makes it a lot weaker than a lot of the other spells like this in recent memory. That said, if you do have a lot of Warpers, I guess it gets better. If you have like some 5/5 sitting in exile, you still get to deal 5 without having anything big on your board yet. So that is where it goes up in value, but just generally in some Golgari decks with some Death Touchers and stuff, usually this kind of card would be great, but because of the way it's worded, it's not actually that good. Torpedo was an overperformer. I only drew it when I had a spaceship on the board ready to attack, so that was nice. Actually pretty efficient removal at that point. And everything else, I think, was great, but already looked great to me. Like the Wayfarers were spectacular, but they already looked that good. Godmaw was spectacular. It already looked like a great finisher. Hole Carvers were solid. They looked solid. Pollinator was solid. It looked solid. Really cool stuff from our first event of Edge of Eternities, but that is not going to be all for me in this early access event. I'm going to be recording a ton of videos today to send out to you all throughout the week. So if you're looking for more Edge of Eternities, more Magic the Gathering in space, stick around. We're going to be playing I think like 4 drafts and 3 sealeds is what I'll probably do. It's about 7 videos leading up to the launch of Edge of Eternities on Arena next Tuesday. And of course, if you want to play it as soon as possible, pre-releases at your local game stores starting on Friday. It has been pretty dang fun so far. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.